everything. First of all, this is just a brief animation of stuff that you can do. So, what's the point of this slide? Or you can generate something like this, which takes 2 minutes, do it yourself. You don't have to reference anything. It doesn't ruin your presentation, and it looks much more professional. You do the same thing, create an image versus something you create yourself. You can customize it exactly as you want. It looks professional, and it's great, so it shows that you're serious, and you can have fine details very easy. And again, this is our motivation. We want very, very nice images as opposed to other ones that you might need text and you can only show a two-dimensional slice as opposed to three-dimensional. So we want to make our figures look like real life because what we're doing is modeling real life. We don't want to have a model figure, something that's two-dimensional, and it's just something like a drawing on a back. We want to make them look real. So this is actually not a photograph, it's something you can actually make. And it's not very hard. So we're going to use Blender 3D because it's a program that you can use on a computer, and it's free. And you can find it tutorials anywhere on the internet. You just search Blender, I want to make this, and you can find it. Second, you can find it on Mac, PC, and Linux, or whatever. Right? So it doesn't matter which system you use, that's covered. Very sophisticated, so you can make things look like this. Right? You can have mirror, different textures, different surfaces, you can have depth of field, very, very nice images. These are actually not out of the reach of what you can do. So you can actually make images and movies using this way, and you want them to truly represent your work and make your work look much more professional and very, very accurate. You want these figures that may not exactly indicate what you're actually doing. So you're going to look like a pro. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make this, and then we're just going to go right to the program. Right away, you can press F3 to save it, or right here in the bottom left, it says image. You press image, and you want to save image. Already, you can save an image right away. So already you have a cube that looks very nice, and you can save. That's the first thing there. So to get out of this sort of rendered view, so this is an image, just press escape. Right, and you just get back to the screen. Right, so right away you can just render anything. Anytime you have an image, you just press F12, and you can see how it looks. So what we're going to do is we have this cube. It has this orange outline, which means it's selected. So in order to deselect it, you can press A. So A means all, or so just deselect or select all. Right. So right now it's deselected. If you want to reselect it again, you press A, selecting everything. Select actually the camera and the light at this point. But we want to just focus on the cube right now, so just press A again, and you can deselect everything. Make sure everything's not outlined at all. So we want to change the properties of the cube, right? It's kind of going just like this, right? So you can left click. If you left click on your mouse or trackpad, it'll just highlight just this orange part here. And you can actually extend this sort of toolbar out and that part down here. So right away we have, these are our objects. This is part of your scene. You have a lamp, you have any object, a camera, and don't worry about it. Do anything about it. So we have a cube, it's shown up there. You can also just click the object up there and it's selected. And if you have any questions anytime, just feel free to interrupt me. Okay, so we have this cube selected. If you want to make it bigger, as you can see on your shortcut cheat sheet here, you press S for scale, and you move your trackpad and it gets larger or smaller. Right. Make big cube, make small cube, right? And also you can actually isolate different dimensions. So if you want to just make a cube that's very, very tall, you just press SZ for the Z dimension, right? So we press SZ, and you can change the vertex height. And if you click on the left mouse button, then you just, let's say, agree to this sort of height, and it keeps that sort of shape. Is everybody good right now? Good? Not too bad?
So you can actually, so with the S, you select and you use scale.
S is scale.
Oh, scale.
And so, and you can actually press X, Y, or Z in order to change these dimensions. So if you press S, Y, then you can make it start getting wider or very narrow. Okay. And the closer you are to the center, the larger actually the size change. And of course, you can change it to X as well, so you can make a whole bunch of different sizes. And generally you have just a rectangular prism that has the different dimensions, X, Y. Next, what we're going to do is rotate. Same sort of concept. Instead of scale, you're just going to press R for rotate. So you press R, and then you can rotate it in the dimension that you're actually facing right now. So it's just a general rotation, and you can save it. And just in case you want to go back, Control Z, so it's like in every other program, you want to go back and you sort of messed up something, you didn't want to rotate it that way, or scale it, that Z, Control Z, you can go back. Control Y will redo, like most programs. And so, just like in scale, you can press RX, RY, RZ. So this is very important for just rotating things in one dimension. If you press RX, it rotates it, it shows you the x-axis, and it rotates it along the x-axis. And another important thing is that if you as it's rotating, say you press RZ, and you're rotating it along the z-axis, if you hold Control, it'll actually put in increments of 5 degrees, so you can actually get your precision as far as 90-degree rotations. 45-degree rotations and 180-degree rotations. You can see it's actually a step-like rotation, and it doesn't rotate. You can see at the bottom left shows you the exact rotation. So it says 245 degrees, and you want to do 180 or 90 degrees. Keep some symmetry. Okay. And lastly, of course, we want to move objects in different directions, so you just done with G, shown in the shortcut A. So G, you press G, and you can move it around your scene. And of course, X, Y, and Z will control the movement. So if you want to move just in the Y direction, you press Y as you're moving it, and move it along the Y axis. Z, and the Z axis. And you can actually, so this way you can rotate, scale, and position objects on your scene. This is how you control pretty much the geometry of every single object here. And so shortcuts are very useful. You can also do this just at the top left here. If you don't want to use shortcuts, just scale, rotate, transfer, and improve this. So you don't have to use shortcuts. Okay, so let's see what we got there. Next up is views. Okay, so I'm just going to move this in the center. Here we can see it. So right now, we're looking at our objects with an angle. Right, this angle is kind of boring. With your mouse, you can actually, if you hold down the middle button, you can actually change the view, just orbit around the origin. So I can't do this now because I don't have a mouse. But if you have a numpad, say on PCs, I know Macs don't have it. But if you press, say, 4 and 6, you can actually rotate around the 6. But usually the mouse is easier when you have a mouse. It's much better. So 4, 6, 8, and 2 will help you rotate around 3 dimensions. So you can see it from different perspectives. So if you have a mouse, it helps you go draw cool and you can rotate it around. So this works as well. 7, you press numpad 7. Actually, sorry about the Mac. I don't know the equivalent, but it actually, you can see it from the top. If you want to just photograph view just from the top, you want to make sure you just where objects are on this plane. And this grid doesn't show up in your eyes, so don't worry about that. And of course, if you just want to take a look at your object right away, you just press, well, I see the shadow right now because the camera's not positioned properly, but if you press F12, you can see how your object looks like anytime. Like the skating there. Okay, so as far as different views, we have 7 to actually change the view so that you're looking down, and you're going to have numpad 2, 4, 8, and 6 for rotating around the scene.
How do you do this?
On the numpad,
yeah,
there's 2, 4, 6, and 8.
Okay.
If you don't have a numpad, then you either use a mouse.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So next up here, yes, rendering the same. We've already done that. Okay. So I think I should show you how to use the camera here. So the camera, you'll probably see it around here somewhere, depending on which spot you're facing. So it's around there somewhere. To sort of see the perspective from your camera, you just press numpad 0. And this is what your camera sees. So inside this rectangle. So this is exactly what I'm going to render. So if I render this here, just press F12, then you see, because there's no lighting on this side, it just comes all black because there's the light coming from a different angle. So this is what we see. We'll press escape to get out of this. So you can also, the camera is an object as well. So you can actually move your camera around using G, G for translation. and G, X, Y, and Z to change one on the X-axis. So you can select your camera with the right mouse button, or just click on camera up here, that works too, and you press G, and if I press Z, I can move along the Z-axis.
Could you say it again?
So if you select the camera on the top right, it'll just show up in orange, or in white here with an orange outline, just means it's selected. So if you go to your, you have to make sure your mouse is actually inside this window. That's very important. So if your mouse is over here, it's not going to be visible. Make sure it's inside this G. And so just by pressing G, you can move the camera around. G for translate. You can pick the different dimensions, Y, Z, and X, depending on where you want to do it. And if you use numpad 0, you can actually take a look at what the camera is actually looking at as you're moving your camera.
Sorry, if you don't have a numpad, how do you do
the camera?
The bottom left of the View tab. It's like a View menu.
Oh, here, yeah. Here we go. So you got View, yeah, so camera, and then you get the top. There we go. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so we want to make sure our object is in the camera's viewpoint here. So next thing, let's see, we want to try to add other shapes and make them more interesting. We're going to deal with much more shapes. So we can press numpad 0 and just change the view so that they're not viewed from the camera. So to add another shape, you can just see the top left is add. And here's your mesh. So everything's called a mesh, right? Cube, plane, sphere, cone, monkey, you know. We have everything, right? So you add, say you want to add a monkey, right? You have your monkey in here. You can scale the monkey. So it's actually nothing looks like a monkey. Scale it and move the monkey around.
Can you explain monkey?
So again, that's an add, mesh, and then monkey in the bottom. You can have experiment with different objects on your scene and position it relative to the cube. So make sure you always move your perspective around. Press numpad 7 or change your view to the top in order to see where the objects are lie respectively to each other. So you can actually move one and sort of make sure that they're not on top of each other, so you can have a good idea of where they are. Okay, and let's see. All right, so selecting shapes. So here's our monkey face and our cube. So just like before, it's just right-click for selecting. You can select one or the other by right-clicking. Or you can just select at the top left, top right where you have all these little objects. Helps advance for some reason. And you can just select either one. Or you can select the lamp too, and you can move this around as well. You can move the lamp around. Make sure your mouse is in here. And that changes the lighting as well. So anything in up here, these objects can move. So you can always take a look at what your camera is looking at, the view from the camera. And of course you can zoom in with the mouse wheel. And if you don't have a mouse wheel, Control plus on the numpad, or just plus actually, will change your view. Any questions so far? I think we're good. Okay. So now we're go ahead.
great colors?
Oh, we'll get to that. Okay, so we want to add this. We're going to make this scene right here. We got a monkey, cylinder, a tall one. We want this cube to be at a certain angle, microsphere. We're going to change just a mesh, nothing fancy, but they give you it. And we want to put a plane there. So you just want to put some objects on a plane, and so you could try to recreate this scene. Here, the next focus on. Okay. So since we have something like this, we want to save it, right? You want to come back and do this later. So just simple file, save. Make sure that file is safe, and you save it any location you want. Call it whatever you want. And again, the file and save. And it saves that as a .blend file. Rename here is the location. You can choose quick location. I'll just call it test. And you just click that save blended file here, and you have that file saved. So opening file, same thing. File open, you browse to it. It's fairly straightforward. So now we want to get to the cool stuff as far as making these look a little more realistic. So if you have just a keyboard pressing plus or minus on the numpad, we'll zoom in and out. You won't have a mouse. Again, you need this numpad for this. I'm not sure. If you don't have a numpad, the plus or minus, if you hold control in the plus or minus, then you can actually zoom in as well. Okay, let's make this monkey head look much better. So it's really jagged right now. It doesn't look like it. If you click on it and press smooth, right away you get something that looks much better. And you can press F12 to render it to get this nice shape. There. The lighting's a little off. So smooth is just on the left side, right here. Right, smooth. Yes.
How can I change the dimension of the camera to scale? Because otherwise some pieces are rendered outside of my window.
Yeah, so usually in that case you'd want to switch your view to the top. And you locate your camera, so camera here is right here. You zoom up quite a bit, you grab your camera and just move it farther away.
Okay.
And so you can see that my view from the camera, move that like that. So now, keep moving it up, and now if I render this, I'll see that it's just farther away. You can see more objects in the scene. So the trick is just move your camera far away from your scene, and you can get more in your scene. Okay, not only this, we're going to actually change the properties of this actual monkey head. So right here, we're going to click on this is going to Suzanne. So you click on this, so you selected the monkey head. On the right here, you have this sort of circle that looks like that has like a checkered pattern. This is material, so you want to change the texture, the type of material that the monkey head is at. So you just press new, add this new material. And so right now, this is how the material looks like. So white, plain, and then I'll have some reflections, mostly gray, and turns to black and darker. This diffuse color is generally a color. Change this, change the color to red, blue, yellow, green, and darkness. Now you can color more. At any time, press F12 and see how it looks like, and change the color. And already reflections are included already.
Can you show quickly how to press new again? The material?
Okay, yeah. So here is go to the material. And if you scroll up, for some reason it always scrolls down. So you have to scroll up in the material section. And make sure you press new. And this is previously made material right here. Yeah.
You need to stretch your bar.
Yeah, you just stretch the bar. Yeah. So then you can change the color, change it to whatever you like. We have this nice colored object. There's intensity right below here. This will change how bright it is. You can change from 1 to 1 to brighter. Specular is the direct reflection. So obviously just looking for the specular reflection, exactly 90-degree reflection. If you change this to a different color, it's just a reflection of your lamp. What color you want it reflected off directly if you're not diffuse. Okay. So, and if you scroll down even further in material, so we're going to go up, down here, and if you check the transparency, you can actually make it more transparent. So we just check this off. Right now the alpha is 1. Alpha means sort of opaque. So it changes your level from opaque to fully transparent. So somewhere in between you'll have a translucent object. So if you change the alpha to say 0.5, you won't look at it right here, but if you render it, it starts to get more and more translucent.
the shortcut for that?
F1. Try that. Here. Okay. So another thing you can do is add mirror, so just to add reflection. You can actually make it a perfect mirror. The reflectivity right now is 0, so it doesn't reflect any light. It just sort of scatters it. And if you change the reflectivity, actually the reflectivity goes up quite a bit. If you change it to 1, it will be a perfect mirror that will reflect gray all around. So if you see that, it will be very unexciting. We'll do that like this, so a perfect mirror monkey. And if you change the reflectivity down a bit, it will just reflect a little bit more light. So it's like you can imagine just a green, shiny monkey. Exactly. Okay, so, and you can change it, of course, right below reflectivity, the color. Right now it's white. You can change the color as you reflect. Reflect red light. Right now it's not much light coming in, so it's not too loud. Any questions? Okay. And that's probably about it. So if you scroll back to the top of the material, you see that there's 4 different types of materials in that surface. Yeah. Wireframe, okay. Wireframe, volume, or halo. So it just changes the type sort of object that you're dealing with. You can have a wireframe, you can imagine just like a fence. Volume, which is just like gas. You're not going to use that too often, because it's like a better option. Halo is actually cooler one. Switch to halo right away, and then that makes a whole bunch of smaller ones. Like the same, smaller particles. And of course, these all have they're all different properties. You can change the color of the halo, you can change the size and brightness. These all do various things. So again, I'm still in materials here. Switching to surface, wire, again, these sort of structures. All the edges are just wires in the face. There you go. Alright, so let's move into lighting right now, and then we'll start creating just another scene using some of these features. So we have this lighting right here, so I'll move away from this sort of camera view. So I have this lamp right here, so I'll always show up as this. You can change the type of lamp that you're dealing with. So this is just the point source, perfect point source light. Will generate very harsh shadows, and you can make much more of them. So I should show you that if you want like an object and you want to duplicate it, usually there's many objects the same. You can just press Shift D, and you'll duplicate the object and move around. You can make tons of them. Keep placing them everywhere. And of course, if you want to place them along a certain axis, you press X after you press Shift D to control where you position them. I'll make a whole bunch of different ones on the X axis. You can have a single finger. And if you mess it up, press Control Z. You can get with the back to where you're going to add single one. No. Yeah, and you can see that as you start, depending on how fast your computer is, it will take a while to render these scenes. So if you do have access to a desktop computer, they're much faster. I would recommend the more cores you have, the better. The quad core is much better. You have an i7, it's even better. You have hyper-threading with 8 different threads.
Can you select multiple objects?
Yes.
So I missed it.
Yes. So to select objects just by in a box, you press D. It's called a bounding box. You have the cursor, you can draw a box, and it will select all the objects that sort of touch or inside the box. So right now I've selected all these. I can move them all together. If you want to select them from this list, you can simply hold shift, just like in most programs, and click one at a time. Just select each key. So you see those are all in orange here, which are currently selected in a bright orange. And you can move these around, you can scale them. That sort of brings some organization to your scene. You typically want to label it. So obviously, if you're cube 1, cube 2, cube 7, 9, right, you really run out of, you can't identify them properly, so you can't rename them. So if you right click, you can change the rename. And you can also select or delete them. So I want to call this monkey special. So I know this is monkey head specifically a special one. I'm not going to make it a little bigger. And you can label them with more vectors. You can have different materials. So again, if we go to materials here, there's only one material listed, and that's the only one we made. This plus here is simply added material type. This plus will do exactly the same thing. This one will actually change the material directly to material number 2. You can rename that as well. And that's right here. So I can call this red. And this one has to be red. But I had this monkey selected. Changed it to red. So it's got to run the code. To actually change the lighting. You're probably noticing that some parts are really dark and you want to light up certain areas. You can actually control where the lighting is coming from so you can create shadows in the right areas or highlights. So right now we only have one light. Right here. You can a few. I'm going to sort of mark a few. This lamp is sort of in the middle of the scene here. This lamp also has properties. So you see on the right side here where this sort of light source is, the properties of it. So you can change different types of lamps that you use as a light source. The sun, which is very bright, has the size, and very directional, and the spotlight, so the spotlight only lights a certain area in the shape of the mirror. Sort of a hemi light, which is just, you can imagine it's a hemispherical sort of mirror that just shines light in one direction. And an area. The ones that are most important are sun and point. So if you change it to sun, you select your lamp, and then you change the lamp to sun, and if you render this, you see a big difference in the way you're seeing it. So the sun is naturally much more brighter than the point source. And my computer's not very fast, it's going to take a little while to render this. But you can see everything's much brighter. And right below this lamp, you can change the color of the actual sun. So on the right side, which is white, you can select this, and you can create a red light, mostly yellowish, into it, or any color you want, and change the actual intensity. Another way to change intensity is to change the energy. If you change the energy of this start to 10, it's going to be incredibly bright, and you're going to see really bright reflections around it. You usually want to keep the sun's energy about 1, the way it's set. I think I got a little bit of red on me, so there'll be a reflection off of the red. sometimes you can add more than one actual light source, so you don't have to deal with one. You can add a new one just from the menu up top. So you can add. You can go down to length. Same, you can add any type of length you want. You can add like the punch source. You can move it around. You can add different lighting from different angles. And of course, you can duplicate these lamps in the same way with Shift D. You can make a whole bunch of different lamps everywhere and increase the brightness. So they make a much more light source. It's always good to see just how it looks like just for pressing F12. You see that because I put a light source here, they will never show up in your actual render, but they'll actually, you will see the effect that they have when it's not in your glass. Okay, so we're going to try to make a scene like this more designed for clients, right? So you can make common products. One can make PDR nice, but you can actually make one very unique. And so you just make a keep it lattice. It's pretty simple to envision exactly what it's made out of. You have spheres, and you press the order, and you let them smooth your spheres. You have cylinders here. You have this translator with a mount. And that's exactly it. You can change the texture of each of these, make these blue, and as we render it, make sure the camera's in the right position, and you have the image right. Alright, so right now you can render your image, whatever is there right now, and it may look great, but the problem is it's gray, right? Usually you don't want gray. Gray is boring. You can actually change them to black or white or yellow or green. So this is in this world option. It doesn't matter which object you selected, you press this world, it's always the same. And this is how your world looks like. It's gray, it's boring. This horizon color is just the color of the air sort of for the background. So change that to black, then you get black. Much cooler, much more contrast. So again, the world here, and you change the horizon color to black. And change to white as well, so it works on the PowerPoint slides. Also from there, we can go into the camera option called render. You put a little camera on the side of the world. So this actually controls your actual rendering. So it controls the size of your image. Sometimes you have a really crappy computer, you want to make sure that your image is not too big because there's no trouble quite a bit. You can make it much, much bigger. You can make images as big as you like, depending on how good your computer is. So right here is resolution. That controls the actual size of your image. So right now, we're creating 50% of the size of the 1080p picture, 1080 pixels high. So if I change to 100%, so 100% of this resolution, so just exactly this resolution. If my computer tried this, it will take a little bit of time, not too long. And you can see the actual resolution is pretty good. But if I change this to show 10%, and if it takes way too long to render, you can just press escape. You just mash escape, it'll stop. So if you change it to 10%, because you can't take it, or you just want to take a quick look, you press 12, something really small. 1995 or something, really low resolution. So it's really nice and quick because there's not too many pixels to render. And if you scroll down, you can get fancy stuff like the anti-aliasing. So it makes your image look nice. Your corners are not as jagged. So if you turn that off in the standard size, 50% of it'll still look really jagged. You still your corners down. Even black or white. If you want to make it sort of blend in. So if you turn on the anti-aliasing, which is on by default, and of course it takes some gets computer power to actually process. If you take this image and redo it, it's a little smoother. It doesn't look as smooth, but in this resolution, it looks really good. you scroll down a little further, there's a few other options that you can sort of control. Shading, essentially, is for now it's just the quality of your image. All these things, it's ray tracing, textures, shadows, scattering, the environment, all take computer power to actually process your environment. So if you're running into problems when images are getting way too complex, and this will happen, especially when you have a whole bunch of different lights, different reflections, many different mirrors, and the light diffusing in different ways, your computer can really be put to the test. So if you turn these off, you turn off the computer. But for now, it doesn't really matter. Right at the bottom, this is our output, our portable network graphics. So this is the file we're saving it as. Saving it in a temporary folder. But since we can actually just go to image save here or press F3, you can just save it directly from here. But you can also choose the output folder here. You can change the different sort of type of export you want to do. You can change JPEG, bitmap, videos. It can be done with the API. So since we can actually save this with a video, since nothing's moving, it's just going to be a video that looks animation. So later on, you get into the animation, the actual object slash the movie, and it's just saving directly as the video API file. For now, we use PNG for network graphics because we can get this background to be transparent. So you can put these on your slides so that we're able to look back. Everybody's ready to check out some cooler stuff. Cooler stuff?
When you're selecting multiple objects, how do you deselect them? Like, so let's say that you're clicking on each of the circles and then you click on a cylinder by accident.
I believe it.
This is precisely what happened to me.
So you can just deselect by keep going shift. Clicking it again. I guess.
Oh, you just press shift again?
Yeah. So if you press shift and select it again, you can deselect. So I'll talk quickly about just editing certain objects to make things that aren't exactly cylinders, things that are simple. Sometimes you want pyramids. They're not exactly given. So if you add, say we want to add a cube in the middle. Right now I'll just put like cube, make sure it's center, about the center, make it a little larger, scale. So right now, I can either scale the entire object along each dimension, but you can't exactly scale certain parts of the object. Move at the top to be smaller, right? So if you make the top smaller, then it ends up becoming a square-based cone. So in order to do this, this is done in edit mode. So by pressing tab or down here, you have these different modes. You can select edit mode, and this will allow you to edit different parts of the actual object. So right now all the faces are selected. So down here you have these three objects, these sort of options have face selection, edge selection, and vertex selection. So we can change this to make sure it's face selection. A would deselect everything. If I just select this, because we're in face selection mode, and we'll just select it right here. I can just right click on the top and it will just select the top face. And you can scale that, actually, scale that independently of the actual object itself. So you create this easier object. Of course, you can, if you select the whole thing, you can, you'll notice on the left side, you're like, oh, I can't smooth the object, right? And that's because you're in edit mode. So if you press tab to move back the object, well, you can smooth it out to make it look much better. You have this cool looking pyramid structure inside. So it's only partially lit because I have only a sunline, and you can add a light source. So I'm here to make sure it all works. So again, this all works with, and you can actually, just in edit mode, you can select the top, you can move it up and down, like this. You can actually move it, scale it in one direction. And you can rotate it. And every single option that you have, an object needs to be in edit mode. You can move this independently to different edges, different points, different faces. So that using this, you can actually create any sort of shape that you like. If you want to just grab a certain point, if you go to the point selection mode, which is just the top right here, the dip selection, and you just like this point to move around, this point to move around, this doesn't really matter. You can create exactly the shape that you want. So, for example, if I press A, deselect everything. Select this one point. Zoom in, grab it, move around, along the X, or Y. And you can just render it and see how this works.
Sorry, how do you select the corner?
The corner? Yeah. So make sure that at the bottom here, you have to be in edit mode. Click a tap to say edit mode. You press tab, or you can just change it here directly with the menu. It says edit mode. If you press A, it will select either all, or select all points here, or none. So A would be also between all or none. And if you have none, you just like normal selection, right mouse button, and have it selected. You can change it to the actual edges as well. But I have an edge selection mode right in the middle. You can just select the edges. I'll show you one cool thing, and that should be it. Yeah. All right, so this is nice when you have objects like this. You can actually have physical and dynamics without actually moving anything in itself. You don't have to actually move objects, and I'll get to that later. But you can actually, for example, create rain, or create snow, or create moving electrons, but using physics very easily. So you use any object can just add a particle system to it, and these particles will obey some sort of force. It can be Leonard-Jones potential, it can be gravity, it can be magnetism, any sort of force you can think of, even wind, and they can have noise. You can actually animate your particles to move in any sort of physical system. So for example, let's do this first by some add mesh, and we're going to add a plane. We just want particles to come out from a plane. So we have a plane here. Let's scale this to something small. There's a plane right above our object. And so this fancy stars on the far side is our particle system. Where you see on the bottom here. These are the particles. If you add a press plus right below it, you add a particle system. And right away, this here, bottom is the timeline. This is the function of time. Usually 24 frames per second. So you can move this sort of curve. You just click on the area here, and you can actually change what time you're looking at. So since we added a particle system, it adds the default one where so you have to start from 0. Yeah, make sure you're in object mode. See, right now I have particles that are raining down, and so it's hitting these pyramids, and they're not just small particles going in objects, but sort of way to create a particle system. And they have their own settings. There's the life, where it starts, the frame time. So it starts with the first frame and the 200th frame, so just below 10 seconds. And you change the lifetime, so how long you want them to last. So if it's, that's why they stop here. Stop at 50 frames, you stop the animating. So you can actually keep them going on forever, and you can have the number of particles. So if I check this up to 10,000, the computer's going to struggle, but you can create much more particles, so it's more dense. And this way you can create And you can actually change how these particles look like, so they're not exactly fixed to be small emitters of light. And different colors, different textures, they can be objects themselves. They can be transparent, they can look like water. They can hit objects and flow off them like water. They can join different fluids, so I'll talk about in another session. So a few other options that you can choose from are their velocities. So you can actually, right now they start off emitting, I think this is just normal, so I guess that would be in the z direction, up. You can have a certain rotation, you can evade some physics. And there's many different types of force fields, as you'll probably notice in physics. The turbulent texture, Jones charge, harmonic motion, different force, which is good for atoms. You have positive and negative charges in any of the systems, but gravity is exposed. You can actually make these particles that don't have to be actual particles themselves. They can just behave as smoke, and you get this sort of density gas that moves through. As I said before, and usually it's gravity. You can actually turn off the gravity. You go to field weight, so these are the different weightings. So they're actually it's going to obey all the different types of forces equally. You turn the gravity to 0. It's not going to follow the gravity. You can see that the particles are going to stack up. Particles that are emitted vertically and sort of drift as in space. And either just left or disagree, so they have to really, that's it. Well, I guess I made the particles that go.
So you have to select an object and then add particles.
Yes, so objects, particles always come from objects. You can even make these objects transparent, so they don't show up, so they're just a particle system. So if we want to make this plane transparent, because we don't want to see that, where the actual particles on the plane. You have it selected. Then I made this plane as part of this. There we go. That's that. We have this plane, which is called a heat conversion. You can actually see these different sort of icons here. This I means that you want to see it or not. So if I don't want to see the plane, if I don't want to see the plane, it's gone. I want to see the particles on top of that. But if I still render it, it'll still show up. So this camera actually restricts the renderability. So if you turn that off, pretty sure it turns all the particles off. Oh, well, it's not the particles. So the particles are still there, but the actual plane is not. So it will never show up in the render. So if I take this camera and let's see right here, just going to move the camera up so it has a view of the plane. This plane doesn't show up, but if I change the properties and make it invisible in this view, but actually render it because of the camera option. So if I click that, I can see the plane here. And this is just in wireframe mode, if I just you can change the different way you see it. So this sphere has it, you can change it. If you're doing solid shapes, you can have the textures are shown, so you can incorporate light, or just part of it. Textures, it shows up here, but if I try to render it, it won't show up. Because of these options on the website. That's it. So, out of time. Thanks for coming. If you have any questions, ask me now. It's fine.
I see.